Ruben Amorim kicks off his Manchester United career with an away tie against Ipswich this Sunday. Now, he's joined from Portuguese side Sporting after a fairly successful start to his managerial career as a whole. Having kicked things off at Casapia, he was banned very briefly for giving touchline instructions without having the necessary coaching badges. Of course, that ban was later suspended, seeing him move to Braga's reserves. And then, very soon after, he took over the first team, winning a lot of games against some big sides like Porto and Benfica, and even winning a League Cup. That stint at the helm of Braga's first team lasted just 71 days before Sporting poached him, and that turned out to be a stroke of absolute mastery. At Sporting, he's done absolutely great, won 2 league titles and also 2 League Cups. And now he joins United with a lot of promise. Now, I remember when Erik ten Hag joined not too long ago and came in with so much promise after a very good spell with Ajax and a football philosophy molded in the realms of total football itself. I, as a United fan, was quite optimistic, and we all know how that turned out. Ten Hag left with 2 titles in the bag, but he didn't really leave an imprint of any particular tactical style, and there was no clear progression in terms of league finishes. Amorim clearly has a significant task on hand, and possibly the hardest job in football right now. Of course, only time will tell how well the spell for Amorim can go at United, but today we're going to do something of a simulation in FM24 and give him 5 seasons to see how much he wins or loses, or even if he gets sacked. So let's see how the first season goes. So bish bosh boom, and he is still in the job at the end of the first season. Marcus Rashford is now appointed as the vice captain, and he has won a title immediately. UEFA Europa League winners in the first season, and let's see exactly how that actually went. 2-0 winners against AC Milan in the final after overcoming Porto on penalties in the semi-final, and prior to that beating Red Bull Salzburg 3-1 on aggregate. Let's actually have a look at what exactly went down in that final. Alejandro Garnacho and Marcus Rashford with the goals. It seems like AC Milan actually did a fair bit of domination in this match, but a title nonetheless, and a brilliant start to his career. Now, the league finish is probably what matters more, so let's pop over to that and see if they did any better than they have been doing. Finishing 6th but qualifying for the Champions League on virtue of that Europa League win. 55 points, a whole 35 off Man City, who finished top yet again, winning title after title, even in the FM world. And with 11 losses and 13 draws, it doesn't seem like things went particularly to plan in this first season. We'll pop over to the best 11 to see who played more often than not. Luke Shaw at that left wing back slot with Mazraoui on the right. Martinez, Victor Lindelof and Matthijs de Ligt playing at the back. Menu starting alongside Ugarte with Xerxes preferred up top. Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes out wide on the right. Xerxes up top. Xerxes' career has been interesting to say the least since he started at United. Not sure what you think. I personally think that Rasmus Højlund is much better. Xerxes' first touch looks like Lukaku. He's been shocking in terms of his work rate. He just looks lethargic to say the least. Nonetheless, in this save, he's produced 12 goals, an average rating of just 6.88. Marcus Rashford with 16 and a very high 7.44. And Bruno, of course, with 14 goals and a 7.19 rating. Let's go over to the transfers and see if they did anything interesting in terms of the transfers. Of course, a lot of these are from the previous season. And how on earth do United have 193 million in transfers out? Now, as far as I know, this was not the case. We are using an updated database. A lot of players that I can see that have gone out. Let's just click on fee and see if we can filter here and see who went out for a lot. Wan-Bissaka did not go for 45 million. As far as I know, he went for 15 million. And the same with Martial and Donny van de Beek. Donny van de Beek went for a couple million if at most. Martial was definitely a free. Perhaps they've just attributed that 45 million to what their peace of mind is worth, because Anthony Martial has been pretty much a headache since he's joined. Always offered promise and just never come to fruition. Over to the transfers in, and Fran Garcia coming in on loan from Real Madrid. Of course, coming into play at left back or left wing back in this system, I would think. But the problem is he's made just one start, and it looks like he actually is still joining permanently. So how much is this fee going to be? Let's just pop over to his contract and have a quick look-see. The mandatory future fee clause is 2.2 million. So they're going to spend 2.2 million on a player that has made one appearance for them in this season. And it looks like they haven't done much else in terms of business. Now, as a first season, finishing 6th, winning the Europa League, getting back into the Champions League via that, do you think that's good enough start for Ruben Amorim in his first season? I think it's okay. Me personally, I would prefer to finish a little bit higher up on the table, but I don't think it's going to be likely in the real world. I don't think he's going to be able to pull things back from the horrible start that Ten Hag gave us. Of course, Ruud van Nistelrooy's short stint has brought things back just a touch, which might help, but in his first season, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. If he does win the Europa League in this first season and finish 6th, I think, okay, in the real world, we could work with that. Now, in terms of this, let's see how he does in season 2. And yet again, the man is still in the job, so obviously he's done enough to stay put. 263 million in the red in terms of the finances, so things don't look pretty at the end of season 2. Let's pop over to the landmarks and see what's actually gone on here. And it seems like they've won a bit. European South American Club Challenge winners, so the Copa Sudamericana winner versus the Europa League winner, and they've won that, beating Internacional 2-0 in that final. Now, they've also finished as UEFA Super Cup runners-up and the FA Cup runners-up. How did we do in terms of the league finish then? In the Premier League, they finished 5th. Small progression. 70 points this time, just 22 off the top. Things are looking a little bit better, I would say. Just 8 losses this time round and 10 draws. So definitely an improvement and a goal difference of 20. Who came in then? What transfers did United actually make to get a little bit more done here? Brian Zaragoza coming in on loan from Bayern. Did he play a lot as a loanee? He's made just 4 appearances with 2 goals. And yet again, do not even lie, he's going to be joining United on a permanent as well. Let's see how much this one's going to cost him. A mandatory future fee of 12 million this time. So 12 million on a player that's barely played. Fran Garcia, of course, confirmed 2.2 million. And then Xaver Schlager coming in from Leipzig for 29.5 million. A decent signing, I would say, to play in that CDM role. He's played 38 times since joining, so definitely a solid one. Did they get any other business done in the end of the previous season? Gonzalo Inacio, so he's brought one in from Sporting, 40.5 million rising to potentially 52 million. This is definitely a signing that I can actually see happening. Of course, United have De Ligt, Lenny Yoro, Lisandro Martinez, and a few others, including Harry Maguire, that could potentially give them a little bit of an option at centre-back. But Inacio, definitely a very solid player. Just 24 years old in this current year in the game, and a lot of very good attributes. I think a solid one. Of course, at the end of the previous season, Jadon Sancho got sold. That permanent move confirmed after the loan start. And then who else did they sell? Diogo Dalot, I would have never expected this. So my personal thought is that Dalot is actually going to thrive under Ruben Amorim. He's done fairly decently under Ten Hag, and I think Portuguese manager, his style or the tactical style favoring a right back or right wing back, which it would be in this case, that is a bit more attacking than defensively sound. I think Dalot can actually be very, very useful and very, very successful at United going forward if things work out for Amorim. So surprised by this move, sold to AC Milan for 28 million it was. So decent overall in terms of the signings and the league position, a little bit of an improvement. And that one cup, albeit a very daft cup on the side. Let's check who played the best for this team this season. Bruno Fernandes leading the pack yet again, a very good average rating, along with Marcus Rashford, 11 goals, 3 assists for Rashford, 11 and 11 for Bruno. Zaragoza did a bit there in his short stint, and Joshua Zexi continues to be preferred up top. Seems like Garnacho has been playing a lot off the bench, 19 benched appearances, 10 starts. And then there's a few who haven't gotten a lot of starts. Amad Diallo, who I think has been absolutely fantastic, just 2 sub appearances, and it looks like he might actually be on his way out, wanted by Brentford here. Casemiro, 24 sub appearances. Tyrell Malacio, of course, has been discovered yet again. The archaeologists were out and they found a little tiny man named Tyrell. Of course, he has been in real life as well. This lad went missing after a slew of injuries, so great for him. Mason Mount's made a bunch of sub appearances, and Kobbie Mainoo's played a fair bit of football as well. So not that bad all in all. It looks like he's made a decent-ish start, but definitely a lot of room for improvement. Can that happen in Season 3? And whilst the debt keeps growing, Amorim's time at United continues as well. What has he done to keep himself in the job at the end of season 3? FA Cup winners this time after finishing as runners-up in the previous season. What went on there? Winning on penalties against City, so a tight one I would assume. Erling Haaland with a 46-minute goal, and of course Joshua Zirkzee with a 21st-minute goal. What went on in this penalty shootout? Let's just go ahead and stretch this all the way down so we can have a good look. 6-5 it was, but a bunch of misses. Dumfries, Diaz and Oscar Bob with misses for City. Mazraoui and Ugarte off target for United. Luke Shaw injured yet again. So pretty even Stevens game. It looks like they did actually quite well. 51% possession, 14 shots to City's 14, and that makes it 3 titles in the bag for Amorim since the start is already done. A little bit better than Erik ten Hag, and onwards and upwards. Let's see what they did then in terms of that league finish. And they finished 6th again, so back downwards. 8 losses, 12 draws, 66 points on the board, 17 off City at the top, and geez Louise. Would you look at this? City have now made it 7 in a row. Absolutely shambolic. I guess in this save, they weren't found guilty of the 115 or 130, if you would actually dig deep enough, charges. We've gotten away scot-free, as you would expect, and let's just leave that at the wayside. What did United do in terms of their transfers then? Transfer history, and there were a few more at the end of that 24-25 season. Diogo Costa coming in from Porto, the Portuguese keeper, £64 million, and he has started most games in the season for United. 36 appearances, just 25 conceded. Onana has obviously been usurped, and me personally, I think Onana's done better now, but not the most United keeper, if that makes sense. He's been a bit shady at times. Nonetheless, Diogo Costa doing excellently, and his attributes look pretty brilliant in FM24. Let's pop back to the overall player tab and see who looks good in the squad for the season. Rashford and Bruno doing things yet again. 12 goals for Rashford this time, 15 assists for Bruno, and yet again 12 goals for Joshua Zirkzee. He's played a lot yet again. Has Højlund even featured? He's made just 5 starts, 4 goals and 2 assists. And it seems like Amorim has formed something of a group of favourites. The usual suspects seem to be starting a lot here. If we pop into their best 11, overall it's going to show us who he's started more often than not since he joined. Shaw at left wing back, Mazraoui at right, and Inacio now Martinez and De Ligt. Kobe Maino's lost his place to Zavislaga alongside Ugarte, and Bruno, Rashford and Zirkzee up top for the most part. Since he's joined, Zirkzee's made 122 appearances with 51 goals to Rasmus Højlund's 51 appearances. That is just sad. Garnacho's gotten just 85 appearances himself, and he's been pretty good, but just couldn't get beyond Rashford or Bruno. I would have actually thought that maybe he shifted Rashford up front, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Rashford playing through the middle, and given Garnacho a bit more time out wide. But it is what it is. Over to the transfers again then, and I think I've actually looked at the previous season but missed the next one. Let's pop over to the current season, and there we go. That Brian Zaragoza move confirmed, 12 million. Kamil Grabara coming in from Wolfsburg, 12.25 million, a bit more in add-ons. A player that comes in as a second keeper. I think he's done with Onana. He's over this because he signed 2 keepers in no time. Andre Onana still got a few appearances. Grabara hasn't played, so why spend 12.5 million basically on that transfer up to 15.25? And then Pascal Struijk coming in from Spurs as he transferred across from Leeds. Yes, he has. He's gone across from Leeds to Spurs and then come to United. Made 13 appearances on a decent wage, and they spent a fair bit of money here on him. A loan move. Will they confirm this as a permanent transfer yet again? Yes, it seems like United are doing most of their shopping by bringing players in on loan and then confirming a permanent transfer the season after. I personally don't think this is a particularly good signing. Pascal Struijk is fairly average, and I think they could have done better, and perhaps they even have better existing in the squad. Who do they get out then? Altay Bayindir, the second keeper, gone back to Turkey, moved on to Besiktas for just 2.5 million. And Jack Fletcher, oh that's sad. Jack Fletcher, a very hot prospect, going for 1.2 million to Wolves. I wonder if his other half is still in the setup. Let's pop over to the under-21s. Oh, there we go. Tyler Fletcher is still here. So they've separated the twinsies, and let's hope that Tyler's career goes a little bit better than Jack's has for United. But back to Amorim, and I think that things are going decently. Would you be happy with 2 European trophies and an FA Cup after 3 seasons if Amorim does that and consistently finishes out the top 4, doesn't exactly get Champions League football consistently. I don't think I'm going to be particularly happy with that. Let's hope that things improve at the end of season 4. And yet again, he stays in the job, and now the finances are looking very pretty. 91 million, a positive balance after seasons of pretty much red, red, and red. What has he done in terms of the landmarks this season? So Avram Glazer has actually left. Finally, all the Glazer out process have come to some sort of joy. Glazer's gone, and Gary Vincent takes over from within, apparently. Community Shield runners up and not much else done. So how the heck did he stay in the job? Where did United actually finish? They finished 5th and still got Champions League football. So I think Champions League was good enough for the board to keep him at the helm. Just 67 points this time around. A positive goal difference, 21. 9 losses and 10 draws. It seems like they found themselves stuck in some sort of a Arsene Wenger rut. Get top 4, think that you're challenging for the title or winning something, and then recycle. Wenger in, Wenger out. You remember that, right? Surely. But United have seemingly done the same thing with Amorim here. I am not sure if I will be particularly happy with this. At the end of 4 seasons, I would hope to see a little bit more progress. Maybe finishing in the top 3 more often than not. And maybe getting a more substantial trophy under the belt. Not just an FA Cup, a Europa League, and that trophy that's played between South America and Europe for shits and giggles. So let's hope that he does better in real life. Here then, Joshua Zirkzee, the man that I have been throwing under the bus here, has done pretty well. 19 goals, finishing as 2nd top scorer in the league to Erling Braut Haaland. And then Player of the Match awards, Bruno Fernandes finishes joint 2nd with Dom Szoboszlai, and Cole Palmer finishing top. Cole Palmer's been absolutely ridiculous for Chelsea, and the game obviously appreciates the same thing. Did United then get any more transfer business done in this window? The Stroik deal confirmed, 32 million. What drugs are you on, sir? Then they brought in a few others, a very cheap signing here. This is interesting. Jaka Peric coming in, a new gen. He looks actually quite decent at just 18 years old on a very small fee, so much better business than the Stroik deal, I think, personally. And then they brought in Sebastian Bornau from Wolfsburg, a decent one this is. A centre-back that could come in and offer them a little bit of cover. He's made just 3 appearances, not on the most money here, 12.5 million, 12.75. And then they brought in Diogo Dalot back in on loan. What on earth is going on with this transfer committee? I thought that Ineos would tie things up, and it looks like they've gotten this off to a proper shit show. Diogo Dalot sold to AC Milan, then brought back in on loan, and to make it even better, they're bringing him back in permanently. What is this fee going to be? This is being brought back on 14 million. They've sold him for a little bit more, if I'm not mistaken. But an absolute farce. It makes absolutely no sense. They've let him go, brought him back. And then a few others here sold as well. Amad Diallo going to Sunderland. We all remember how great he was for them when in the championship. He's done really well there. And obviously he's gone to some place he's loved because Amorim just hasn't favoured him in his time. He's made just 23 appearances for United ever since the start. And I think this kid deserves a whole lot more. And I'm pretty sure that he'll get a fair few more appearances in real life than he's gotten here. Still not favouring Lenny Yoro then. He's gone out on loan to Everton. Hasn't really developed all that well in this FM database. I'm not sure if they've tinkered with things and brought him a little bit down in terms of his potential ability. But I think Lenny Yoro could be somewhat decent. Let's see how he goes now that he's finally back from injury. All in all then, the end of the season, and things look very average, to say the least. I think this has possibly been the worst season. No trophy in the bag, but a Champions League finish. A bit better in terms of the finances. On to the last season then, and can it come full circle? Can he bring all of this around to finally getting something substantial? Something like a Premier League or a Champions League? I don't really think that he's going to get it done, but I'm hopeful by the end of 5 seasons that in real life, Ruben Amorim could get us a proper title. Let's see how it goes. So still in the job, 5 seasons in, and he's managed to stay put. The balance is now 136 million. And Marcus Rashford is your captain. Where on earth has Bruno gone to? Let's have a quick look at the history and landmarks to see what's actually gone on here. They haven't won anything yet again. Rashford now appointed as captain, Matthijs de Ligt as vice captain. Over to the transfers, and I'm a bit suspicious here. 60 million in transfers out, and there we go. Bruno Fernandes, sold to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. They've taken the Saudi money, and to be fair, he is 34 years old at this point. Kind of makes sense, and it makes a lot of sense for him on £1.5 million per week. That Saudi money is juice, my man. So Bruno's finally gone, the end of an era. I surely hope that he wins a bit more before he actually leaves United at some point. The transfer's in then, and we brought in Diogo Dalot for 14 million. 53 million spent on Bayern's Amar Dedic, and he comes in to play left wing back yet again, I would think, or maybe even offer them some cover on the right. We'll have a look at the tactics very soon. Oscar Campos coming in from LAFC. Again, another one to play in that wing-back role. He's made 32 appearances, so something's gone on here. Maybe one's played on the wrong side. And then Paulinho from Atletico Mineiro in Brazil. He comes in at 28 years old to play out wide. He's made just 3 appearances, 1 goal so far. Some very interesting transfer business across all 5 seasons. Yeah, I don't know if I approve of much of this. I think a lot of it is pretty retarded. Just go back a season yet again and see if anything else was done. Nope, nothing else was done. No one else was sold. Popping over to the players in the squad then, let's have a final look-see at what they have going here. Marcus Rashford still killing it somewhat. He's got 10 goals and 5 assists. Joshua Zirkzee continues to play up top. Rasmus Højlund, for some reason, has still stayed in here and offered to be the secondary man. 7 goals from his 7 starts and 17 sub appearances. Hasn't gone great for everyone, all told. Kobbie Mainoo's got a fair few more starts now that things have come around. He's probably developed fairly well, and he has. Look at these physicals. He's been pretty good. Fairly good mentals as well. And I think Kobbie Mainoo could actually be a whole lot better than this in real life. Nonetheless, they've done fairly decently. That tactic then, let's have a look and see overall who's been the best 11 here. And not much has changed. It's pretty much the same team that we've seen from the start, bar Diogo Costa, who's come in for Onana. Amorim seems to have picked a fair few favourites here and brought in some pointless signings to offer some sort of cover, but at very high prices. Makes absolutely no sense to him, and I think that is probably what undermined all of this. In terms of the final league finish then, 5 seasons in, and they finished 6th yet again. Not much has happened. 65 points yet again. 11 losses, 8 draws. They don't even have Champions League at the end of all of this. And that, I would say, was a pretty unsuccessful 5-year spell for Ruben Amorim at Man United. A Europa League, a cross-continental cup challenge / bomb diggity dig that they won, and an FA Cup. Just not good enough in 5 seasons for me personally. What do you think? Will you be happy if 5 seasons from now we are sitting 6th in the Europa League for the following season and have won a Europa League, have won a FA Cup and that bomb diggity cup that I just mentioned? I don't think that's gonna cut it. Now, the tactic in this game scenario, I don't think is exactly representative of exactly what Ruben Amorim has done in his time at Sporting. These wide players are a bit interesting, to say the least. I think there's a little bit more of an offset in real life, and they possibly even play a little bit more narrow. Maybe we could do something of a tactical video where we cover a tactic that is more similar to the real world example of Ruben Amorim. Maybe I'll put that out. If you would like to, let me know in the comments. What do you think should come of this spell for Ruben Amorim? How excited are you for it? Do you think that the football gods are finally going to give United a little bit of grace, that we actually get back to where we belong? I would hope so. Ruben Amorim, to me, seems like he is going to be able to turn things around. We're going to be optimistic, but if 2 years from now we're crying again, so be it. Football's about being optimistic and hoping for the best, and I hope that you enjoyed the best of what came here. If you did enjoy this simulation video, maybe we can do a few more going into the future with a few other things that you could suggest in the comments. Maybe throw in another manager and side that you would like to see, and we'll go ahead and do that. Drop us a like, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you want to stay tuned for everything that is to come on the channel. Of course, there's a bunch of other content that you can check out. But until the next one, please take care and laka. Check you. Bye.